Okay, well, you're not going to want to look at that anyway. Let's just go to the internet. So, I'm Dallas. I'm the Network System Administrator for Pittsburg Schools. We're going to be learning about Google Sites when the internet opens up here. Has anybody created a website before?
Long time ago.
Long time ago? What you guys?
Was it at university?
Who else? Sorry.
I did, but when I was like in junior high.
Okay. What you use?
For fun.
Do you remember what you
I
used?
know.
It was a free site.
I don't remember.
We could get on it, we could make our own.
Like GeoCities or something like that?
I think mine was front page.
Yeah.
Claire's works that front page. That's what I worked
I
on.
think that's what I did long
I
ago.
did
What's
one
wrong
of those
here?
when I
Go, Dallas, if you're trying to connect to the internet.
Yeah, it's
It's,
I mean, you know, it wasn't, I liked it, you know, it wasn't creepy, it was cool.
yeah.
It took 5 minutes. I don't remember what it was.
I had to make connections to the websites and stuff that kids could go to learn in Spanish and stuff. It was a really, I wish I could find it.
Well, Marianne,
It's out
I'm
there somewhere.
impressed that you did that.
Huh? That's weird. It's
Yeah.
not showing on here. Is it? Something to do with the smart.
Is your,
Smart.
check your, screen, you can add sites to this one, you can add screen.
Yeah. We just put everyone's website on there and our kids can click on it and go to that link to the link. And that's what it is.
Me too.
Oh, I see.
I
Yeah.
remember just not bridging it. I know, that's what I love to figure out. Figure out how to do it.
It's just
And I need to erase that. Yeah, I'm also barrier. Oh, yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
They do that. So I was thinking,
Let's see if I can, yeah.
just how long you got your email?
Yeah.
Right about an hour.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah.
It's my fault.
Oh, I'm gonna, like, 11:30.
Well, there's just a single thing.
Oh, and it's
Things that
big.
actually ignoring it.
These get out of you get that to your email?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. No, you guys don't need to open anything. Just watch
And I didn't get
right
that.
now.
Do you want it connected on that other, because I haven't done that.
No internet.
You want three?
I was thinking too, just go check right here. Until Lisa.
Don't you love it when technology works?
Yeah, I do. Here we go.
I haven't connected to their computers yet, so.
Well, you see, you have to experience a tad bit of frustration.
Yeah.
It's always when you really need it that it
Yeah.
does.
This is our
See, look,
website.
it's doing the same thing on that computer.
Yeah, this, I think our website's down.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not working today.
There you go.
All right, well, that's interesting. Okay.
But we're all on it.
We're on it.
On the school website? Well, so is it the,
Yeah, we're on it.
that's odd.
Well, that's the email part. Just the main page, though, you've got it up.
Yeah, she's on the main
Gonna
page
try it
here.
out here.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
got
right.
it that way.
Where do you want us to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our website.
Yeah. There's
So-
a sport.
there's still
Maybe
a
it just went
page.
down and we got on it earlier.
Okay, we'll go on.
Go ahead and just try and go to some page on it.
Yeah. Just anything?
Yeah, something like, not webmail though, just, yeah.
Yeah, it's our website, see, it's,
So,
yeah.
they must have been in on it earlier and then.
Cool. Okay.
So it's so many. Is that because every other training session is on it?
So a couple of you guys have made websites before. Has anybody used Google Sites? Deb? Anybody else? Okay, that's why you're here. I want to go to.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
it redirected me, and I've got it down. See what I put in? Here's the 250. Okay, see it says, did you meet?
Yeah.
And then it came right up.
Okay.
Weird.
Somebody's messing with us.
I bet it is. Go to our webpage. See if you guys can bring it up, because it doesn't look like it's working.
Okay.
Mine, you know. Let's try.
Yeah, it's
Oh, there
running
you
a little
go.
slow.
It's working, seems like it just worked. There you go.
Okay, good. We just had to wait, you know. Okay, so
Patience.
you guys go ahead and just watch up here. We got that far anyway. Wow, that's step one, right?
Do you want to connect to their computers to their screens?
Not yet, no, and that's gonna be mainly just to, kind of run through some stuff. Everybody's pretty familiar with signing into webmail. Mine does a crazy thing. You don't have to do that. We'll come right back, because we don't have to signal here, it seems to be a code on this.
I love that. Does it enter?
Look at that, clean inbox, okay, so that's my email account. The first thing, just keep watching up here, we're just gonna go through this first like this, and we'll give you a chance to do it on your own. To get to Google Sites, I don't know if anybody's even actually clicked on it, you go over here to more, even more. Don't do anything yet.
No, not you.
Wow, there's a lot of stuff here. There's sites. See all that stuff? That's Gmail, Docs, probably you guys can use some of this stuff. Oops, I hit Blogger.
Not this one.
Kind of the same thing. There's sites. Can everybody see over there? Okay, I might need to move over here.
Is sites always under home and office? Or that's where it was on your thing?
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, it was on your turn, it was on your.
Yeah, there it is right there. Cool way to do it.
It says, thank you for creating a website.
So, a couple different ways to get to it. It's just like anything else, like digital cameras or anything. Once it's easy to use and easy to find, you'll actually go do it. If you can't find it and don't know different ways to find it, you'll just kind of forget about it. So yeah, like I said, we went to the website. We signed into our email. Then we found sites either here or we went to more. You know, that might be a little distracting, so,
Sites with travelers,
yeah,
you have more on yours.
yeah. Either way, it's the same place, and I've got a page there and I got a test there, which we can ignore. So, that's how you find it. Now, one of the first things we're gonna do is, create it. So, create is a button that we use to create a site. You can create multiple sites, actually. So, you're not forced to put it all within the constraints of one page. Say you've got your professional site, and you've got your personal site. And say you've got one for a particular class that you do, because there's so much content about it that you want to just do its own site. Completely up to you. We're just gonna go through a standard way of making a basic site to begin with. So we click Create here, and we're presented with this option. You can select a template, browse the template gallery, or you create from a blank template, which is what we want to do. We want to make it from scratch. Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and go into that. The template is kind of an interesting thing. I'll go ahead and show you that. People think it makes it easier. Personally, I think it makes it harder. Because yes, you have these categories of things that you can just, they're already made for you, essentially. We could go to school and education. We could pick a classroom site. Boom, we're done, right? There it is. Let's do that. Okay? We'll just call this one template sample. Okay? We don't care about any of this, let's just create it. We're going to go the easy route. There it is, done. That's me, my 2 kids. See all this stuff? It complicates things because now you have all these things in there and you're gonna have to go edit them and put pictures and stuff in, delete out what they have. It's double the work, really. But it's kind of cool to get an idea of, the layout. You've got always this sidebar. You've got content here in the center, articles, pages you write. You can click just like any website on the side. Here's what kids can do for extra credit, and that's all in Latin. And there's a presentation embedded in there. All stuff you can do, but, why go this route? So I prefer not to do that. We're today going to do this from scratch. So there's that sample I made. Before we get actually started in doing that, though, I really want to show you a couple sites that people have already made here. And same steps. Go to your email, go to sites. You can do this too. You don't need to do it now, but go to browse sites. And these are the categories of websites that people have already created here at the school, or within the schools. A lot of them probably go into uncategorized because they're not thinking about people accessing it from this particular way. So most of them just get dumped into here.
What's it called?
That's categories, and it's just a way of splitting up our sites, our USD.
What's the one you said click on there?
Uncategorized, yeah. And it just means that no one entered anything to set it apart.
Thank you.
So there's quite a few. Anyone ever seen these before?
Yeah,
Different ways? You've
well,
gone through?
on our website, some of the teachers have work links where you can go into and see what they have.
Right. And so, this is kind of the behind-the-scenes way of getting to those same sites. And like I said, through these categories, they're split up. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't put a category, so they're kind of hard to navigate. So that's why we use our website to link to it, so people get to these. Yeah.
How would parents know to get to these sites then?
They're on our website.
Yeah, we'll touch on that later and how you can get your site listed as well. But basically, it just needs to be linked to from our main website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Click on Spanish too,
All right.
please.
You'll have to translate it for us.
It is in Espanol.
Oh, I was joking.
So we got Mrs. Nelson's site still. In Espanol, wow, Spanish. I haven't looked at all these. I am going to look at this one, so if I have to close the browser, you'll know why. I don't know what, So that's Senor Weinmiller's page. She's got the sidebar. There's even a sitemap, which I can show you how to use that too. I mean, not only is there, these links, but also a way to navigate the site itself. There's some information here. She's got some presentations possibly. Yep. Well, she didn't share them with me, obviously, but.
So you didn't connect it. But so, once we've created it, we have to go through you to put it on our website.
The page will actually be live, and it'll be available through the link that we'll have at the end of this session. But in order for anybody really to find it from the main website, we'll have to link to it. So it's just.
Is that a problem?
No, and in fact, probably Brett Dalton will make that link on the website for us. Well, we're gonna collect all these at the end, and if you guys really want to post it, or if this is more of a training deal for you, we'll see. But, so here's the presentation section for the webpage. But, you know, this one's pretty simple. It's got the main page, it's got what she needs on it, so let's look at another one. I don't know if this is about activities and things. Here's George Neville's Elementary. Looks like they used a template. Somebody created a site called George Nettles Elementary. It's got image 1 in here, and that's probably as far as they got. You know, this is all in Latin, so that's just all filler stuff. They've got a calendar put in there, so that's kind of cool. I can show you guys how to do that too. They had an event countdown, looks like over 2 years or a year or more ago, and it's already that many days since. So this is what happens a lot of times with sites. You know, people don't update them, and they just kind of sit there dormant. So we could go through and delete a lot of those, but you never know where people are at on some of these things. So that's another example of someone using a template and kind of just letting it go. Let's go back to sites. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and you know, if it was something to keep up, it's always hard to do that.
It's on their to-do list. 583 days late. 600.
Library. I think these are pretty well updated. Pittsburg High School library one is for sure. So this is something probably Cheryl made. I don't know if anybody knows. She put some links here for research, how to get to Google Docs one click. You know, this is because this is good for what she does. She has the kids probably go to this page. I don't know for sure, but you know, then you know, you can get to all of these things that she probably talks about when they're in there. She's a CQ researcher, and you know, when you click on these, obviously, it's going to open up that. Go right to it. Whatever that is. Ways to do some research online. Looks like some books here. I'm not sure what this is all about, but it may have some. Looks like you can buy them there. Yep. So, you know, I'm starting at a USD250 website, and I'm jumping, you know, to all these different interesting places. Looks like she put a picture up here. She also put a search box on her page. That's cool. That's helpful. You know, especially if she were to use this in class and set all of her computers in her library to go to this page. It's her little world that she can create and manage and make sure that this is all they see. You know. Students, I guess, that are. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, a lot of things are going web-based, and this is just another tool to bring your information onto the web. You know, with that comes a little bit of thought too. You got to say, okay, is this something that I want out on the web? If kids can get to this, download all the information, pre-fill everything out, you know, do they even have to come to class all the time? They might get that feeling, you know, that, well, now I have everything here, I don't need to come to class. But I don't know, that's just something you'll have to determine in how you teach.
Put it on like that.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, and that's one of those things you gotta stay up with, current, yeah. And when it's easy to get to and you've practiced going there, it's not so much of a chore, but it is just like anything else. It's something you've got to think about daily if you're gonna be updating it. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say daily. If you said a day a week or something like that, that you know you're gonna put some stuff on there, you'll be ready for the next week, however you operate. It's just something that it does take a little work. It's not going to build itself for you. So that's one. I really wanted to take a look at a couple more, if that's okay with everybody, just to get some ideas. This is kind of a learning tool on the categories too. Like I said, a lot of people don't understand what categories are, so they just get lumped into uncategorized, which is okay. But going this route, it's kind of hard to figure out where you're going. Here's one for A+ Academy. Lots of stuff. Got some tabs across the top. Looks like another outside link here. Another page called Experimental Learning Center. Does everyone know what the A+ program is?
Yeah.
Looks like there's even a contact deal. Looks like they might have used the template. It's explaining the purpose of this page. Probably wouldn't be on a so, I don't know. You know, that's not really all that useful. This column might contain instruction on how to become a contributing member to the page. Kind of see where we're at as far as a district with doing Google Sites. Everybody's kind of or not everybody, but a few people have kind of experimented with it, but it's kind of as far as we got. Let's look at the Chinese one. And they're in Chinese learning. Can't read that. The biology one. Packard's honors biology, probably to do a specific site to do with a specific class. Has a nice little cherry blossom background. She's got a tab up here called Plant and Bud Project. So this goes through almost kind of, not really a lesson plan, but just a description probably of the class. Each student will collect a total of 10 species of either wood trees or shrubs or insects, or 5 woody trees and shrubs and 5 insects. So, and she's also got some documents here, kind of like we talked about. She posted some PDFs right there with the article that she wrote, so that it's all relevant, it's all right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of those. There you go. You know, print that out, you know, everybody, and then start filling it out. So that's a good process for her class, I'm sure. So of course she had to create this before. Most of you guys have that kind of information on your computer, it's just not out there. And it's not attached to an article on your website about that particular class. Tree ID. Okay, so that takes me outside of her class, or outside of her site. And that's cool. I mean, you know, that's something she probably goes through and then, you know, can continue teaching from. She must come with trees. Okay, so let's go back. Yeah.
If you do something like that and you go out and then you have a site that goes off of your website.
Right.
And then they have advertising on there that might, you know, at some point, are we responsible for anything like that? Or, you know, at what point
No,
is the
and
responsibility not ours if something's on that website from another site that, look, is deemed inappropriate for education?
Yeah.
Or there was, you know.
there's not a whole lot we can do beyond what you create. If you link to a website and it happens to have content on there that's questionable, you're leaving your website. I think in any court, if it came down to it, they'd realize that, okay, they started on your website, they took the initiative and went beyond it, you know. And once they left your website, it became their own responsibility. And that goes for students, parents, or whoever. And, you know, it's just, it just takes a little bit of, I shouldn't say here, but, you know, it's kind of one of those things that we are
I'm just
learning.
wondering how much we are responsible for that too. I mean,
Yeah, it's a continually learning process for everybody, really. This is a new way of doing things. This is a new area, so there are a lot of legal questions that come up. You just have to be, when you create this stuff, mindful of that and do your best. I mean, we all make mistakes and stuff like that, so hopefully that will be on your side as well. If you link to something that you weren't certain about, I mean, it's just as easy as putting the wrong address in. You know, people do that on their internet page all the time. Oops, you know, you gotta close that one out. You're gonna do the same thing when you link. If you mistype it and it goes to some wacky website, yes, you put that in there, But I would hope that most people seeing that understand that that's a mistake, you know, if it goes to the wrong site. Does that make sense?
I'll just double check.
So that's a pretty neat little site. The other thing to think about too is this information isn't just for USD250, period. It isn't just for students, period. It isn't just for you, you know. This is on the internet. It's available to people in Norway. It's available to people in China. It's available to people everywhere, all across the world. People in Gerard schools, wherever. You think about it, you're writing this as if you're looking at it from a couple different perspectives. You're looking at it from, okay, this is material I'd like to show people here in the district. This is material I'd like to show people or my students. Or this is material that's relevant to the outside world. And someone may come across this site because they're searching for the Arbor Day Tree Identification Guide. And just so happens that Mary Packard's website comes up in their Google search for whatever reason. And they're like, oh, that's exactly what I needed. They click on it, they get to it. And they're like, well, that's pretty cool. I'm a biology teacher too. I ought to put that link on my website. So they go back to this person's site and they're like, oh, they're in Kansas. I'm in Kansas too. You know, and this is how people find you on the outside, in the outside world. We just talked about how people find you in district. We need to link to your website. They may go through the site's route, go to browse sites, and that whole process. But searching is probably the biggest way to find information. And if you have good information on your website, it will come up in the search for that particular subject area. Tom Zars is still on there. He had a pretty extensive site because he did use it for teaching as well. Morning announcement, WizStar. Looks, if you mouse over that, I don't know if you guys can see that. You can see where the links go. I'm sure you've all done that before. And I want to show you this too. He's got a link to Accelerated Reader. Takes you right to the Accelerated Reader testing page. I'm not sure why he has that on there, but you know, I can see that on the library. What's that?
You might have used it as starting.
Okay. Okay. So he made that easy for them to get to. I'm sure, in fact, probably not now, but his computers in his lab went right to this page every day. And you guys all know how to set your home page, I'm sure. So you would set the home page to your own website address, which you can see there at the top, HTTPS, in this case secure, sites.google.com/A, which just means apps, /USD250.org, which is our domain, and then the user, TZAR. And the reason it does that is it's a hierarchy. It starts from the biggest thing to the smallest thing. So it started at Google, and then it went to the sites section of Google, then it went to the apps section of Google, which we subscribe to. It's a free service through Google that we use as a school. And then you have to identify, well, what school are we with? USD250.org. And then whose site is it? TZAR. It's a logical path. You guys have seen URLs before, I'm sure, but a lot of them can be confusing and don't make any sense and just random characters. But in this case, they generally have a standard pattern that they follow. In fact, if you click on some of his links in this example, he's got one, sites.google.com/A/USD250/TZAR/car crash. Okay, that was the thing I clicked on. It also is represented here in the title bar. So that full URL, and URL stands for Universal Resource Locator, that means I can get to that universally anywhere. As long as I have that link, I can bring that exact page up. Another thing you'll note is there's no spaces in the URL, because that'll throw it off. You know, if you type google.com, put a space right there, well, that's probably not going to come up. So there's a logical pattern, a logical path that these things follow. Here's one called Electronics, How to Read a Capacitor. Looks like that's taking me to another site. May or may not be up, I don't know. You know, this is stuff he put in there for his class. Yeah, that didn't work. And in fact, that might be a misspelling. So back to your comment, Virginia, this twistedpair.com, that might not have opened what I thought it would have, you know? So he put that in there. He apparently typed it wrong because that's not a valid website address. So is he responsible for that? To a degree. But at the same time, you knew what his intent was. He was trying to take you to something about how to read a capacitor. When I clicked on that page, it didn't load anything. So that link's dead. Either the website's down or he entered it wrong. It looked like it was spelled wrong. So that stuff happens. That's a real good example right there. Okay, so let's go to 8th grade TSA. This is a program that they kind of do throughout the year, and at the end they kind of have a competition. And a video challenge national. It takes them right to the TSA site. Looks like Tom was using this site as more of a jumping off point, you know, a way to collect all the information that he wanted in his class in one place and online and easy to get to. He could get to this from home, he can get to this at school, he can get to this down to his computer right here in the classroom, all this can. And that's kind of the point of it being URL. You guys want to look at some more examples? So we'll move on. I'm going to try and ask you guys, you know, what you want out of this a little bit, because we're going to start from scratch and build one, but I want to make sure everybody has a good idea of what they want to do and what they want to get out of this class. What are some of your guys' goals for this class?
My goal is
To have a site.
no, I don't care. No, it's not, that's not a big deal, but I want to have a way to contact parents better, because I have to send a lot of notes to parents for concerts, reminders and things, to help, so maybe help save the paperwork a little bit.
That's a great idea.
And then, you know, just to put, and then maybe pictures of our kids when we go to contests, festivals and things, to just, you know, it's more information.
Cool.
And then I don't know if I can do home, I mean, can you, there's not a lot of music stuff on, educational music stuff, but anyway, can I scan something and put it on here, like if I wanted kids to do homework for those that were absent or something?
Yeah, and in fact, there's another way you can do that too. If you're typing this up, say in Microsoft Word, and this is a worksheet that you're handing out, if you're making those on your computer here at school, probably, you can save those as a PDF, or just save them as a doc, just like you have already. And what was that we were looking at before? Where you can attach the file to the page so that it becomes a link, and then that's all you send people. You send them the link to the page, and then they click on the file.
How do you do that again, Dallas? How do you attach it? Will you show us that?
Yeah, we'll go through that. Yeah, there's actually,
Upload it and type it.
yep, we'll get into that. There's actually a section called, I call it file cabinet, I think that's what they call it. But, you know, it's just like a section of your site where you can upload files, and just kind of a way to go in there and, link to it. It's all about links and putting files in there and making changes. We're going to probably take a break closer to 10, if that's all right with everybody. So we decided to, I want to hear some more goals, actually. Yeah. What else, Linda?
Well, in my case, a little bit different than in the classroom, you know, we deal with multiple grade levels and multiple activities. So that would be a great place to post what's happening, when it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
We do different competitions during the year, people are getting ready, and some are individually not. So that would be a great place for students to go to check.
See what's going on.
And to, I suppose we could put their projects on, am I correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So we could be highlighting some of those things.
Right, it's a good idea. So in your mind, you're thinking about this from a top down. I can tell you already are thinking of some different sections of what you would cover. So you got your home page. What's another link you could make? Competitions?
Yeah, as categories,
Category.
student projects.
Student projects.
We could even do it by grade level.
Okay.
Sharing us.
Would you do that maybe on a calendar like type thing?
Maybe.
You could put a calendar on there.
It'd be nice to have a calendar on there too.
Yep.
Put a calendar with what's coming up?
Right, yeah, an event calendar that you take care of and you put your
Yeah.
events in there, and then actually that's as easy as making a calendar in Google Calendar and then just telling Google Sites that pull this information from my calendar. And you have to remember that those events have to be public. So you might want to set up a separate calendar from the calendar that shows when you go to the doctor's office or go to the dentist or something like that. So you've got your calendar, and then you have your Google Sites event calendar for this particular class, these particular things coming up. So really all the tools in Google are integrated like that. That's one of the reasons we went to it. You know, you could use a calendar, you could use a site creating software, you can use a picture creation software or a picture album. But bringing all that stuff together is where the confusing part is, and that's what Google Sites makes easy. Since we use Google, our email's in it. Most of our calendars could be set up in there if they're not already. If you have pictures that you get off your phone, if pictures you take in your class, you can put them in your Google account, then put them in your Google site. Does that make sense?
Dallas question, but all of that is public, as in the district office or whoever can see those things, right?
Yeah.
And is that beyond that, or?
Well, one thing you gotta think
something-
about, and I made this distinction a long time ago, and probably most of you have too. There's kind of your public life and your private life, really. And if you look at it from the context of here at work, at school, that is kind of your public life, but at the same time, there's a lot of things you do while you're here that still need to remain private, that you don't want the teachers to see, or the students to see, or other teachers. I mean, it's one of those things that you're gonna have to be cognizant of the fact that this is something I'm doing publicly, this is something that's only for me. And make that distinction and keep the things that are on your private calendar, for example, on your private calendar, and build a new calendar for events and things that you want to show in here.
So I thought everything in Google was public. You could make a private calendar on.
There's a fine line there.
I'm not
Google.
planning on doing, I was just curious.
No, this is cool. I'm glad you're taking us this
Not
direction
planning on
because
do anything bad.
no, Google is an outside company. You know, at one time, we did our own email here in the district. We had an email server, it did email. But that's all it did. We had a file server. Deb used the heck out of it. She put all kinds of stuff on there. And still does. You have that ability to save files here. You also have that same ability on your computer. You can email on your computer. But the difference is doing stuff with a company like Google, it does put it out in the world. That's kind of the difference. We've gone to a more mobile society. We want to be able to work from home. We want to be able to show things to people outside of our little box. So the way to enable that is by going with a company like this that is a public company, you know. And to address your point there, that information is subject to subpoena, but any information is. It is not public to the extent, I'll just say it this way, the information that's there that you do not make public is as private as anything on your own computer. You know, if someone were to pick that computer up and look at it, yeah, just the same as they can get into your site. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not confusing you guys. But you do have, I mean, the fundamental point there is you have to make that distinction and be cautious of the fact that you're making something public, or you're making something that's just for your reference. And we'll go through, you know, some of the privacy and security settings so that you can see. Okay. go through one more site. Here's Gifted. Did you make that?
I played with one,
Uh-oh.
but I used a template.
Oh. I bet that's it. I bet it's gonna look awesome too.
No, it looks like really crappy because I played with it for about one day for about 10 minutes.
All right, so here's the 10-minute website.
Trying to figure out what to do.
There it is. There's the
That's
homepage.
good.
You like it? I like your background. What'd you?
Clean slate. I think I tried to get rid of everything on it.
Yeah.
So I can put on it when I want.
So you did select a template with information in it.
I think so. I mean, like I did it a long, does it timestamp it, Jesse? When I did
Yeah,
it?
and actually,
Did it a long time ago.
that's kind of a weird deal here is it logs everything that you do on this site. So if you view it, looks like that was back in 2009. Yeah.
At 12:04 p.m.
Yeah.
Is that on school time or you?
I think you're on lunch.
That's my next.
And don't feel bad about that. I think nowadays, this is an important part of being a teacher, being in that public arena where you need the ability to share this information with parents, with students. I think it's just everybody may have a Facebook page or some of this other stuff, but Facebook has become a little bit more closed. It's more to your closest friends, this information is available. And I think a lot of people look at Facebook that way. Your own site is something that I think is more of a public representation of you. And just like Facebook, you can inflate that with whatever you want, but keeping that accurate and up to date is something that it reflects on you. And going back to what I was getting ready to say about being a part of your job, I wouldn't say it's being a part of your job now, but I think you should feel that this is something that you have the right to work on during class time, or not class time, but during your time here, because it's going to take time. It's like I said, it's just like anything else. You're going to have to invest some time in this to keep it relevant.
So in other words, we could use our personal plan time.
You can tell Brian, I told you to say that. I told you to do that. No.
I would have assumed that it was okay to do it during my playtime anyway, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, I just didn't know if anybody,
Spoiling.
yeah, I don't know if anybody had any hang up about that, or, there's a lot of reasons we don't do things. Most of it's probably just time. But, this is something that is, I think, more and more a fundamental part of being who you are. It's part of.
But I will say, if you try to put it, you definitely not do it, like, I'm sure that's why I'm like, that's too much.
It's actually twice as much work.
Too much work, and I
Yeah.
gave up on it, because I need something to be easy and fast, so I can, yeah. Where I was playing for that home.
I really, honestly, to me, I don't understand the need for a template, but I've seen a lot of web pages. I'm sure now you guys have seen a lot of web pages. You know how they look. You know what's on them. You can understand the context. That's what a lot of people, I guess, are missing, that maybe taking this step, they don't know what to do next. So the template may help. For our purposes today, so let's go back to, okay, it's almost 9 o'clock. I'm trying to stick to my schedule.
I'm just gonna work on that one, so maybe I'll have something on it. by the end.
You're welcome to. Honestly, I don't think there's a whole lot different.
And there actually might be too, because I tried to do something to save it, and I didn't know where it went, and something else happened.
And yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, this URL here, that's the thing you gotta remember. That's how you get to it. I showed you the other way, sites or more. There's a couple different ways to get to it. And that's another pain point for people that don't understand where it is, And once they can't get to it easily, they forget about it. They put it in the drawer and they close it and they cover it up and it's gone.
Like mine, the one I have no idea where it's at.
Well, it might be on there.
Because I didn't research, it's not Google, it was.
Yeah, search for it, which is another way.
I would say Google it.
Yeah.
How about I have,
Well, if it had your name on it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends on who
Yeah, my name.
Have they ever Googled themselves?
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know, find out
pizza
about
makes
yourself.
me
You didn't want to know. That's like,
Yeah.
tell the kids when I do the internet.
and see how many
You don't want
years.
to, I give it to myself and they go, that's, I have not, I've never been to Florida, I do not know the pizza parlor.
Yeah. And that's a good thing to know and be aware of too is, I mean, you're not the only dead bull in the
Only dead
world.
bull.
Yeah, and something I read a long time ago too, with doing a website of your own. Once you establish something like this, you essentially control what Google tells about you. You know, what information is available to you. If you put it out there, Google's going to index it, any search engine is going to index it, and it's going to be out there. And that's a good thing, that's a bad thing. The good thing is, people will be able to find you if that's something you want them to find out about. The bad thing is, if that's something you don't want them to find out about, they're going to find it anyway. So.
Or they read it, they think it's you.
Right, and that's the important part of building your site, is to build up that information about you so that there is a database of information that will be pulled up that you more or less control. That's another theory kind of thing behind
I
this.
always thought there was a lot of information about each individual already out there from the government. I mean,
You are kind of going into that area Ruth touched upon too. I mean, there's this public sphere, and then there is this sphere of privately controlled information that companies hold about you, and that's bought and sold daily. So
Yeah.
that information is out there, but it's not in this public sphere where just any old buddy can do it and find
No,
it.
just,
Look for a fee to sell.
It's about 1995, background checks. You see that chunk.
99 cents for this.
Is that all it was?
What, some of them, like, for like a top 3, 99 cents.
Where'd you go?
I'll tell you later, how's that?
All right, I'm going back to sites. Man, I got a bunch of junk in here now. Okay. Let's, don't do anything yet. Your eyes up here. I'm going to go to create. And I started this before, and we were going to go down this template route, but we pretty much kicked that dead horse. Browse the gallery for more. Now, let's start with a blank template. That's what that means when it's selected. You could go browse. We don't want to do that. Naming your site. Okay. In this particular part, name means, what do you want to call this in an English with spaces, human recognizable form? We're going to call this Dallas is that right? Dallas is right. I've always wondered about that. You can do both though, right? Dallas is the USD250. Yeah, Google site. Oh, I really hate your caps though.
I'll take it off.
You'll take it off?
Every time you go right off.
Yeah. Practice page. Okay? Wow. Okay, that's a pretty long title. But there it is, the USD250 Google Site Practice page. And now here, remember we were talking about URL? I hope everybody can see this okay. I don't know, it's kind of small, but it says URL. And what does that mean? Don't say it.
Universal.
Universal something.
Universal locator. Universal something.
Okay.
resource.
What's the L?
Locator.
Locator. Yeah. I want to check something real quick. I
Reference.
think it might be in the camera here.
What's the R? What's the R? Resource.
Is that okay? I was going to try and use this again.
Yep.
Universal Resource Locator. So universal in the world, resource because this information is a resource, L because it's a locator. It's a way to get to that universal resource. URL. Okay? And so that URL is freaking long. Look at that. I don't want that. Because, I mean, it's all going to have this in the front. http://google.com/a/usd250.org. And we kind of went through what that means. That's the universal way of getting from the top down to where we want to go. So, you know what? Since this is a practice site, I'm just going to call it practice.
So we automatically added that spot where you are after you typed in your name?
Yeah, that's one of the things it does for you is it adds everything from the top down until you get to this point where, okay, what do you want to call this? You're at USD250, now what? We're going to call it practice. These are kind of hard to see. They're gray and they're not open by default, but you can see this little caret here, and when you click on it, it opens up a whole bunch of information here. What are those? Yes, themes. Different than a template. Yeah. You want that one?
No, I was just reading.
There's schoolhouse. Now, you think about that for a second. There's a theme, and then there's a template. Okay, can someone explain the difference there from what they've gathered?
Well, the theme is the color and the background of what your information's gonna be on.
Right.
Yes.
And what is a template? We went through that. What is a template?
It's gonna be more rigid because it's like set a certain way.
And it has the information in it already, a template. Terminology is really important here. And, you know, I get screwed up with this all the time. I use the wrong term for what I'm trying to mean. But it is important, especially if we're learning here, we want to use the right terms to distinguish what we're talking about. Because if you're telling somebody, hey, just go to Google Sites and click on template and make your web page, they're going to go in there and they're going to have all this junk in their website and they'll be like, this is way too confusing, Sherry, and I'm not going to do it.
But I did. I don't like this.
Yeah, but if you start with that clean slate, kind of like we talked about. Now, this isn't technically a clean slate either, but it adds a little element of personality or depth, I guess, to the site.
You know, I always look at it as a consistent thing. And once you select your theme, then all of your bullets and all of your hyperlinks and all of your backgrounds and everything kind of is consistent.
Yeah, across your site.
Right, across, yes.
And
What you create.
thinking about that in the context of USD250, it's different than the website. What we've considered doing, and we haven't had obviously enough people make their own sites yet, but what we've considered is just our own theme. I just about said template, but our own theme that you can select so that you just bypass all this, and either by default you get our theme so that it picks up, say, like this lavender purple. Yeah, and that would be cool. And in fact, if you guys want to, if we can come to some consensus on this when we get to building them, since you're kind of, I don't know, you're not the first class that's done Google Sites, but I feel like since I'm teaching this, it's going to be the class. This is going to be the founding class. Yeah. This is going to be it. You know, everybody's going to.
But you won't be able to get all of us to a consensus. I think we'll all want to do our individual.
I was thinking that consensus might be dictated slightly.
Oh. Use this theme right here.
Yeah.
Dallas, is the theme, in this have to be what the examples are showing, right? You can't ever get a background, and I'm not asking to do that, I'm just asking that question.
That
Like a
is
new
a great question. And I tell you what, Linda, you are discovering slightly the limitations of this box that we've given you. You know, because it's easy, because it's something that you can click to the next, you also have to accept a certain degree of that rigidity, that you're designing something that is in this box. You're not going to put a contact me form where parents can put their information on, all this other stuff. You probably can, and I can probably show you how to do that through the use of a Google form and Google Docs if you've ever done that, linking to that and all that sort of thing. There's things you can build upon this, but today the fundamental thing that we want to focus on is establishing that private space and putting information on there about you, and then you can do whatever you want with it from there. But, you know, thinking about that, taking the next step requires, you know, probably some extra help. And after this class, this morning session, I'm hoping that there'll be a couple people that are a little more advanced, or maybe you've learned some things and you'll follow along right with this. Then we're going to talk about using a Picasso photo album to bring in a whole series of photos, a YouTube video. Well, the countdown I'll probably get to. It just depends on time. Some other advanced features, like that contact form. I mean, I'm going to let that next afternoon session kind of determine where they want to go with things. I mean, if there's 5 people that want to do the contact form, we'll sit down, we'll do that, and then we'll move to a next, kind of thing, how to add that particular element. And like I said, I'm hoping that this next session will have a little more of that. So let's say, I don't know if this is a great one, but
Can the theme be changed? I know the URL, that stuff can't be changed with its name, but the theme,
yeah.
you can go back in and change, right? So if you select lavender, or like, okay, I didn't want that,
Yep.
okay, that's
That is a great point, because you come from the time period when pages were made from scratch. You said you did it in junior
Yes.
college. And you knew that once you made that page, it was more or less fixed into that form. And that's the thinking we're all coming from, really, when it comes to websites. Once you build it, it's done, and that's how it is. And it becomes very difficult then to edit what that looks like without just messing the whole thing up.
Yeah.
And that's really the way it was. And that's why these constrained box processes that we're going through here lock us in, but at the same time give us the ability to revert back and say, oh, I didn't like that theme, let's change it to another one. And that's that easy. Whereas before, that was something that was a little too tied to how the site was built. If I built it in Dreamweaver, and I built it this way, and that's how it looked, that's how it looked. If I built it in Word, saved as HTML, put it on my website, that's how it looked. I'd have to go back to my original file, make the changes there, go back through that same process. Okay? And it is a pain, yeah. And using all these tools, I mean, there's a lot of things going on here behind the scenes. Using these tools keeps it in a format that we can't really mess up. Yeah, that's right. You can't really mess it up. You can, I guess I should correct myself. You can delete the whole thing. I mean,
got a question.
sure.
So if you used a template, like I used that.
Template or theme?
No, I used a template.
Okay.
Then, all right, can I then go and change the theme,
Yes.
even though
Theme is a separate element of that particular template.
So whatever theme you select here, I can change it to what's on there
Mhm.
and get it from there if I want.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so can I have the definition? Theme is like your background.
sure.
Okay, what's your template?
Template is the
It's the
background,
format of where.
Yeah.
predetermined content.
Like
What's
a
the
stencil.
background?
The
What's
format
that on
of
the
the
background is your template?
Yeah, I like that.
Yes,
Okay.
template. I'm sorry, no. Template is the theme. It is information pre-filled in there. It's the picture of that lady and her dog, or the other 2 kids, or whatever it was. It's all this stuff that comes pre-filled, pre-packaged. Yeah. A lot of people build websites that way.
What, and then you go back and you erase it all?
Yeah.
And then, but when you erase it all, that, that you had that paragraph at the beginning of some of those
Yeah.
sections.
They didn't erase all of it.
But you can't.
They could.
Erase all that.
Oh, yeah, they just did.
They
But then, my problem is, okay, I erased what I did want on there, and then I ended up putting this picture what I did. Like, okay,
Okay? So we understand the difference between a theme and a template, how a theme is a collection, or a template is a collection of both a theme, and in fact, not just background, it's also the colors of your text, it's the link color, it's what's at the top. There's a lot of things that go in there, but to some degree, you can change it, to other degrees you can't. I think for our purposes, this micro blueprint looks pretty good, but it's actually blue. This one's more of a purple. And that's not
Sarah,
bad.
Ruby?
Salt. What? Alright. I'm gonna go with this one right now. We'll make a determination later with a vote, and I'll take a tally and everything. We'll go with what we decide. I mean, I really think that'd be cool if we could come to some,
That would be cool.
and that will look consistent. This will look like, this is the page for USD250 teacher sites. Alright, so that's what we're gonna go with. I'm gonna select it now, we'll look at it, we might not like it, so that's probably a good thing, we'll see. So keep scrolling down, that kinda opened up a whole bunch of information that wasn't there before, And then we got to this next step. Yeah, don't be going. Eyes up here, eyes in front. Alright, so I'm not a teacher, by the way, guys, so. It's kinda like having your mechanic teach you how to drive. It's a weird thing. more options.
Students that are good teachers.
What is this? This is what most people just blow right on past. More options, site categories, there it is.
Ooh.
So that you don't get dumped into that uncategorized section. Again, you know, my mind is thinking this way since I've done this before. Let's come up with some standardized way of doing this. If we all do this the same way, that means we're all going to be in teacher sites group. We're all going to, and then beyond that, we could also be in biology group, whatever your department category. You know, it's completely up to you. You don't have to use it. It's just something that.
PCMS.
There we go. Okay.
Like we're all, maybe we should be,
Yeah, let's talk about that.
PCMS,
Let's talk about that.
and then your subject area.
All right. So, yeah.
Whoa.
I use that as a shocking device too. That word or something.
All right.
Like you could say PCMS, comma, language arts, or PCMS, yeah, that way. It would fall in a PCMS category and a math category.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I just want something to show up.
I mean, teacher science.
So we got the internet, and it's often represented as this cloud thing. Cloud. And that's the internet. A lot of people say that, you know? They look at the clouds, they see an alligator. It might be a dragon. Sure. Okay, so here's the internet. What you guys want me to do? Now I gotta find an erase.
I'm sorry, all I have is that rag.
Oh, okay, perfect. So, sorry. Sorry, Puff. Okay, so there's the internet. There's all kinds of websites out there. There's Facebook. I don't know. I did pick it up. Yahoo. You don't use that anymore. I don't know. And then there's Google out here. Bing. Microsoft's attempt. Okay, there's Bing. Alright, so somewhere in that internet is what? Right? Underneath USD250, there's a lot of things. Help desk, our school, what else? Yeah, webmail. Yep. Good point. And I like that, because schools and departments, I was thinking the department route, but schools is important too. Schools, departments, etc. And then there's teacher sites. So we're gonna hope, and I don't think it really exists yet, and maybe this will be something that comes out of this class too, a bigger overall teacher website section. Is there one? I don't think there is. It's a theory, it's a concept, you know, but it isn't really there.
Under PCMS, we have a teacher's website.
Right, right.
Like under
Yeah,
PCMS, then there's a teacher website link.
Mhm. So this may actually kind of go this way.
So maybe that's underneath the school.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I think maybe, like I was saying, we might not have to identify the school since we're already kind of doing that in this cattle herding process of going from the top down. Because that's what you got to do. It only makes logical sense. So we got a school website. Does everyone in here fall under a school website? So in their job role? Okay. As in middle school?
Middle school.
I think we're all middle school.
Well, all of us.
Okay.
Just excludes you.
Okay, so for most purposes, we're not going to say school this time. Let's simplify that a little. From the USD250 site, I should take more time to draw those lines.
Especially when you're being filmed.
Yeah. Here's PHS website, everybody's probably been there, and PCMS, most of you have probably been there. So this is kind of where Ruth and you, the rest of you guys are going to separate from the top down if someone were going to your site. PHS, Ruth. So we can almost say right there, R Wood, your site. And then Turnbull over here. And T. Colon over here. So what did we create in theory here? A URL, universal resource. We started with the internet, HTTP, USD250.org, school site. Kind of different than the URL we were talking about through Google Sites, but this would be the actual path people would go through to get to it. So this is just to get there. Now we're talking about site categories here. So now what? What do you teach?
I teach that.
Science.
Gifted. Okay. You know, you see what I'm going with this? Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Can everyone categorize themselves? Categorize their website? That was probably way too complicated for what it needed to be. But
So is that one is the bottom one then? That's
Yeah.
four.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, that's what we're determining. That's where we're coming from. You want to change it?
Certainly.
Well,
Can, but I mean.
different sites you create may fall under different categories. I want to call mine training, comma, because it says here, enter one or more categories separated by commas. Not marketing and finance, not in that. I teach biology now. Site description, okay. To me, this would be, you know when you do Google searches, let's just do one. That's Google's website today. Now, we're going to search for cars. So what comes up? What is it? Oh, that's an advertisement, but what is this? It's a hit. Beyond being a hit, what is this thing? What also is it that you've learned today?
Category or link.
URL. Yeah, it's a lot of things, really. You know, but it needs all those things to get you where you want to go. So you got search down. You search for something. You click on the link, which is a URL, which you know now, naturally, that brings you to another web page. So what's this then? Yeah, so that's the link, but it has to also tell you what that is. Your mind is doing this already, just because you've been trained. This is what comes up. This is what it is. We don't even pay attention to this anymore, really. That's the search result, click on it. You may look at the URL, and that might add some credibility as to what it is. So this is actually becoming less and less important, really, in the real world, the URL. Most people just look at the link. You know, somebody sends you something, an email, click here, you click here, never even look at the link, do you? I mean, do you, really? Less and less important. What's important is being linked. So what would this kind of be about this link? Description, right. So what controls that information that's seen right there, that little snippet is right there in the site description. Yeah, that's how you define that for Google, what you want it to say. So this site is a USD250. And you're going to want to, I think you're going to want to go along here. It doesn't really look like that's like a paragraph, and that really isn't a paragraph, it's more like just a sentence, because they're gonna snip it at about 144 characters anyway. This site is a USD250 Google site training exercise. Utility, exercise in using the basic site creation tools. You see what I did there though? I went a little bit beyond the name, and I think if you were to look at most of those sites we did before, more or less, they had the same thing we saw when we went to browse the sites is the same thing you would see when you go to the internet. They were pretty basic. They just said the site name or some real general information. Take it a step further there. How many of you guys actually brought information? I'm not trying to single anybody out, like pictures or anything. Good. Okay. You probably won't put the little sentence thing, I had you write paragraph thing here. I would save that probably for your home page. But you guys be thinking about what you want to call this site, how you're going to term it.
So you're saying we probably won't fill anything in on the site description? Is that what
You will.
We will.
You'll want to be thinking about how you would describe it to the world as overall, not just a specific thing, not just the name. What do we want to call this to someone who doesn't know anything about it? Okay. So we covered more options, site description, themes, templates, all the way back to creating a site. This landed us on the first page, and now we're done with this first step, I should say. It's not really a page, but so it's not, the next step isn't down here. You think it'd be down here to click, but you just go back up here to the top and hit create. Go. All right. Any questions on this section? Does that seem pretty easy? Who feels like they could do this step? Okay. Would you mind? Yeah. Everybody should keep watching up here, but we've got a little thing in this classroom where we can show you guys as you go through the process. And if you're comfortable doing that, that way other people can see it done, and we'll just practice it a couple times. So, which computer are you on? What's it got open on it?
Oh, it has the Google Create.
She's number
I'm moving
6 down.
down.
Number 6. Move your cursor up.
Oh, right.
16's here.
Right below
Yeah,
16.
sorry, I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Third.
I should create a web
Okay. Would you mind going through that process?
Yeah, that's fine.
And if your monitors are black, guys, just move your mouse. They just went to sleep. You can see what she's doing on your computers. We need to go to, we need to open it up to something.
No, just watch up here for
Oh, I'm sorry, it didn't connect.
Doesn't it? Eyes up
Okay,
here,
I'm sorry.
eyes in front. We're just going to have one person go at a time, and I think notice she used her username. She gave it a good title. She did select the template. Now she's going for a theme. Nice little house.
Well, since
Already
you
we
can
got.
change it
Already
later,
we have a
you just-
dissident.
I thought we were all going with the same one.
Well, okay. Categories. Math. So are we thinking put like teacher sites? Is that what we're all thinking, or?
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Or just
Could
math?
it
I
be
mean,
more specific to like PCMS, teacher, or grade?
If I could put,
I was gonna-
yeah, I
Let's
could
put all
put
that
teacher
stuff on there.
sites,
CCMF.
That's it.
CMS, 6th grade, math. How about that?
Like it. It's good.
Site description. I don't know. This site. I don't know, how do I describe my site?
That's something we
I
have to
mean,
think
is that math?
about.
Do I say it's a math
Contains
resource?
sixth grade
It contains
math
sixth grade math
resource.
resources?
Or sixth grade math.
What do you want your site to be? What's your goal?
Well, I teach two different courses, but they're both, I have all sixth grade students, but I have two different courses, so I want off of my main page, I want to link to
Each one of those.
each one to have their own page.
So what would encompass
So
both of those?
So like with our textbook, it's all online, but I would put like vocabulary, like I'm kind of thinking, course one, every chapter has a link. Chapter one, click on it. The big idea, here it is. Vocabulary, here it is.
There you go.
Vocab review, here it is. Because the way the book is set up, there's all this information on this site, but I can't find it all when I want to find it. But if I can give my students a tool to find it and it be right there instead of having to search,
Yep.
that will make it so much easier for them.
You're
So,
gonna put them into the box and say, this is
Yes.
what we want you in my classroom to go to. It
Yes.
has all the outside information, but you're breaking it down for them in a way that you can teach it.
Yeah.
how you
I
want
mean,
it.
and how many worksheets and stuff I'll put on there, I don't know, probably not. Like, as far as assignments, they'll probably get from me, but at least it's the resource outside of my room they can use. Because I don't have access to computers all the time, so I guess it'd be more for outside of my classroom.
You don't have a dedicated lab.
Yeah, I don't have a dedicated lab, I can just walk into, it's kind of, so, I don't know.
But it is anywhere that you can go.
Yeah.
If you bring your kids to a lab,
Mhm.
they
And
will
they
be
could get
able-
right on there if I did something, yeah.
That makes sense to everybody?
So with doing that, when I make a link, which each course would have their own page, right? I guess not a new site, they have their own page.
Yeah, we're really
So
just
that-
creating one site today.
Yeah.
But if you want to split it into two different sites, you're more than welcome to.
I don't think it's necessary.
I don't
though.
think so
Yeah.
either, unless, like I said, there was more of this personal site and then your professional site. Totally honest with you, like I said, pages can probably encompass most of what we
Yeah.
can come up with today.
Is that site description something that you can change later on? if
Yep,
you want
yep,
that?
it is.
So any of this resources or something?
That's what I think.
I would be a little more specific, yeah, I would say who she is, what classes, this long, as opposed to, this long or this long.
Okay. So I could say what the textbook that we use, for.
And it's good you're thinking about that from an outside concept.
Yeah, because they would think, sixth grade, that doesn't tell me.
Yeah, well, but it's material from this, and someone
Yeah.
searching the internet may be like, oh crap, wow, she made my whole lesson plan for me. I don't know if you
Well,
guys
not
want to get in
good,
the
but-
business of doing that, but.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you guys have done that though, I mean, you've searched online, you've found some stuff, it wasn't particularly geared for what you want to do, but you've seen how people create sites and for what purposes. And this is the process they went through to get to that point.
Could she tell us what her description is? I can't,
Okay, this is what I put so far. I put, this site contains sixth grade math resources or maybe I should say for, I like four better. For Glencoe Course 1 and Course 2 made by, that was in my name for now.
Sure.
And then I
And do you
can
want to say
add-
where you're from and everything?
Yeah, okay. From PCMS at USD250. How's that?
Oh, what city, what state?
Oh, they're really putting this in Pittsburg, Kansas. How's
What do you
that?
think, are you
I don't
comfortable
know, I
putting that
mean-
information on there?
I mean, I guess.
I would feel that it would be kind of useful because it might lead into a neighboring district that you might
Yeah.
be able to get together with that other teacher.
Yeah, so many relationships established or started through something like this because so I'm sure there's a comparable teacher at every other
Yeah.
school that's probably using that same material.
And especially like with us, our materials are very new.
Yep.
So like, if another teacher has it, they just got it just like I did, so we could learn a lot from each other, I guess.
Rather
if
than
that-
somebody who's using a different math
Yes.
resource, just kind of trying to adapt it.
Yeah, so really, that's good, yeah.
Oh, Denise, yeah.
Does
Sorry
that
about
seem
that.
good?
You like that?
Is that okay? All right, so click create.
easy to delete
Just say
things from, is it easy to delete things from your website? As easy as it is to put things on?
Don't you?
Deleting,
edit?
yeah, edit more
Edit.
is the way you wanna look
Okay,
at it.
let's say you have things listed by
Creating your site.
concert dates or something. Well,
Sure.
once it's over, it doesn't need to be on there.
Right, and think about it this way too. Concert dates is something that's more of an event, more of a calendar type function. So beyond just the web page, you may be thinking more, you probably just want to be putting that information in a calendar once, since you're probably going to put it on a calendar anyway. And I do mean a digital Google calendar. Once it's in the calendar online, then all it becomes is this dynamic box on your web page that grabs calendar information. Once that event's passed, you don't have to update it anymore. So if you put it in your calendar and you make a Google site and you put a box that says put my events in there, you're done. You know, all you need to do is update your calendar. So that's the way to think about, you know, you're building this portal, but it has different elements in it. And I don't want to sit there and edit concert dates in a little box. I want to do that on a calendar, so it sends me reminders so that I can look at it in an agenda form, or I can look at it in a week form. But when it's on my website, it would probably look like a listing of this week or 2 weeks or whatever you want to set. Does that make sense?
But we do have a calendar on our website, or.
Right,
And
yes, but it's a
each-
collection.
Yeah, each individual school has the school calendar on it for the year, right?
But and wouldn't that be a good way to do, like, I call it your agenda, but like your assignments for the week? How much easier is having it on a calendar than me typing it every week?
Yep, and you
know,
format
does
it
that-
once,
you
and
know?
that dynamic material comes in. Dynamic meaning changing and updating, continually updating material, comes in through that little box.
Because my big concern is, how do you, I get thinking,
That's
how
the
do I
next
update it
one.
every week? How do I change
Probably
the
get
agenda?
to it.
That's just a
Probably get to it.
pain. So that would make it easier.
So it's still creating, wow.
Still creating.
I thought
It's very
maybe
technical
I
science.
thought I maybe would distract you guys from that.
So like it would just go off. If it already
Who wants to go next? We know what that's.
creating.
Anybody? I want 3 people.
And you can choose a different theme, we'll talk about.
Yeah.
This later.
I'll do it.
Thanks.
I think that's number one.
I'm on, which one am I on?
Oh, I see the number here.
It was 4. It's either 1 or 4.
Look across the top, like.
Yeah, see, there's a
But
number.
go into,
Is there a number on the top of the computer?
That's good, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Who wants to go after her? And get one more volunteer. We had 2 more, excellent, now you both are.
Ooh, it's 4.
Jennifer and Virginia. Yeah, you both go ahead and get logged in, that way you'll be ready. That was one thing I failed to tell Mary Ann.
Do we have to have the same name?
On,
It says name your site.
oh, no, I don't think so.
you can't.
We're just gonna use
You
your-
can't do it on that one. For him to have it here. You have to
Oh, yeah,
it
you
here.
can do it on the main
Oh,
computer.
You can't do it on yours.
Oh, okay.
The ones that.
Yeah, but I still, my question is, do we have the same name for your site?
We would use like your username, yeah, these are. Go ahead, down at the bottom, pull that window out. Actually, mid-screen to the right, yeah, I don't know what happened. And go ahead and scroll up. There you go. So first thing is, yeah, naming your site. Go ahead and click in the box for name your site.
Spanish, comma,
No, that's the category. This is the name. This is the human readable with spaces and,
oh, that's
This is
gonna have
really
google.com at USD250.org.
kind of like what you want to call it. What are we going to call
Like
it?
this
Your
is
Spanish?
Spanish
Yeah.
classes or something
There you
like that.
There you go.
There you go. Where'd I get that?
I don't know. I think it's option Apple or something.
I put math, but this is taken, so I put name.
Yeah, it didn't work.
What's going on?
It's got all my categories.
Good.
See, it's got all my, yeah, like now,
Got
since I
bill,
made it, once you
long
go to
address,
sites,
all
it's just
there.
there. You can see it has all the categories. So I wonder if I
Up
click
there
that.
where it says site location,
And then, okay, it
let's
takes
go
me,
ahead and
this
change
gives
it
me all
to
the other
your
math sites.
next one down.
That's cool.
Yeah. Select all that and delete it.
It's too long.
Yeah, just put in the on.
Do I need to go back up here?
Yep, there you go.
Just put it in on here.
Yep, that's fine.
I didn't
Oh, just,
select it,
yeah, you gotta click on select theme, and then which one do you want?
or I want.
Well, we all decide one.
One we decided on.
Let's see.
It's not there.
Oh, here it is. For whatever reason, they're kinda out of order, that's weird. Because mine was on the left bottom, I think. Oh, probably because the screen's wider.
Yes.
Yeah, and then, we're gonna get more options. This is where you were talking about with, PCMS, comma,
Okay.
whatever you want to type there. What did we decide on there?
Didn't you say, didn't you put teachers on your?
Yeah, first is
I
teacher.
put teacher sites,
Yeah.
So I put
PCMS,
teacher side?
teacher sites, so I put first,
I
yeah.
was just asking.
And then a comma, and then PCMS.
This heavily, if I even do anything with it.
Your back side?
So we got through the hands-on time with creating your Google site from scratch. Everybody made one, I went around, except Deb.
I didn't. I have it right here, sir. See?
I see it.
I swear.
I guess we're exactly where I want to be. So we did the break, and now we're learning to create a file cabinet. This kind of goes back to something we talked about, how we want to put material on this site. You create a page, which I think some of you kind of started, but this is another section that would be useful for putting up a syllabus, putting up next week's information that you want your kids to get to, putting up a newsletter thing that you want to send home with the kids, as well as have online and link to send email out with this link in it so that people can get to it. So what we're gonna work on now is what we call a file cabinet, and I'll need you guys' eyes up front. And I started this section off maybe talking about, you know, what that would be useful for. I gave you some examples, but what else do you guys see using this sort of feature, a file cabinet feature for? Something, this place where you can store documents online. I guess maybe we kind of hit the major areas.
Yeah.
Right,
Standards.
yep. Okay, that's good. So yeah, it's basically just adding files for other people to download.
Is this on the handout somewhere else? Second page, oh, I see it.
Yep, yeah, down there after the break, bottom, I think. We're
I
gonna just,
didn't understand, like, learning to create new pages, everybody else got that already. And I just missed that.
I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, because I think we'll come back to that. I don't wanna miss this, because I think this could be useful if you don't really wanna put a whole lot of information on your site.
I wasn't asleep for a
Oh,
while.
no. I don't know if I'm following this 100%, I tried to, but, I want this to be tailored for you guys and what you want to get out of it, because that's my main goal. So we're gonna create a page, let's name this page, file. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So, wait a minute, when did you get there from?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
your
sorry.
previous page?
Page.
Okay, so
Okay,
we're at this phase where you guys were before.
Yeah.
Eyes up here, we're gonna go to new, right here. This is
Oh, okay.
this is kind of the creation tool for new pages. There's an edit, which I think most of you guys kind of saw. If you wanna edit this, make changes here, but we're not gonna do that right now. We're gonna go to new page. And like I said, I'm just gonna call this file cabinet. Some of you advanced people, don't go ahead, because I wanna make sure that I'm gonna try, I'm gonna try and follow that same format. I think it's a good idea, I don't know yet, but we'll see if that works good. So that people can see it a couple times, different ways. File cabinet is just what I'm gonna call it, because that makes no sense to me. Maybe I wanna have a file cabinet for curriculum, maybe I wanna have a file cabinet for student work, file cabinet for this or that. You know, this actually is a lot easier to make a page for everything. Because a lot of these things you have already, you know. So it's going to be, in this case, a template. It's not a web page, but this is not a template in this context of what we were talking about before. This is a mini template for that particular page. It can be a web page, which is the default, but I've changed it not to an announcement, but to a file cabinet, because this is what I want this thing to contain.
Phyllis, how did you, okay, so once you typed in file cabinet, you just select fill and output, so okay,
Yep,
gotcha,
right
thank you.
there. But by default, it had said web page.
Okay.
We want to make it a file cabinet.
Cool.
I found this particularly useful, so. Do we want this at the top level, or do we want it under home? Let's just leave that alone right now. We don't have an extensive structure on our website yet, so whatever we create is going to go on the left-hand column, and it'll be a top-down look. So again, we lack the create button down here at the bottom. We kind of got to go back up, focus up to the top to create. I don't know, that bugs me kind of. I wish it was down there at the
Yeah,
bottom.
when you finish.
So, create. Now, look what we have. We have our home page. We have that title, description, all the things that came with it, the URLs there, and look, that URL changed. Now, it's at USD250, it's the practice website, or your name, or whatever, and then now this is a file cabinet. So, you can see how we're starting to kind of funnel down into these things that we're doing. So here's the file cabinet, really straightforward. Add a file, add a link. Autumn, that might be a cool place to put the
Yeah.
link. It might be easier to do that
To do it there.
structure. Yeah. So file cabinet, add a file, okay? I have a folder on here that I've copied some stuff off to. You're welcome to start, if you have your laptop, using your laptop, because your material is going to be on your laptop, or if you brought a flash or jump drive, plug it in here and bring your stuff over. Eyes up front. Good. Go to the.
They are.
All right. So I just put some stuff in here. Remember I said I was teaching biology, so I've got my class syllabus for my biology class. And I'm going to add in. I probably did that pretty quick. Let's do that again. Add a file. Browse to it. Here's one for chemistry. Okay? Different classes that I supposedly teach. I'm not a teacher. Open, that's it. That's as quick as it is. That's all you do. So now I have a class syllabus for biology, I have a class syllabus for chemistry under my file cabinet. If people can get to my website, they can get to this. So we can add comments. I believe other people can too, as long as they're logged in to USD250. So maybe, we'll get to that later, but I mean, this is a great,
For this state.
yeah. This is what you want to hear, right? Alright, so we'll add that. Okay, so I believe that is live. I'm pretty sure that's done. It doesn't look like we have to save that. Comment was added. They want to make that pretty simple because, like I said, that's a real useful tool. You've already got stuff on your computer, just put it there. Most people can open Microsoft Word or PDF. If they can't, they probably shouldn't be on the internet. Right?
That's me.
This is that opportunity for everyone who wants to leave. So, cool, huh? Okay. I just uploaded a file, and now anybody can get to it. In fact, Jennifer, we'll pick on you again. Find me. Find that I made there.
Oh,
Cool.
I'm sorry, I'm off on
Reset.
my laptop. I was.
What part about eyes up front?
I just wanted to find my picture.
Alright, so USD250. Where are you going now?
I gotta sign back in.
Alright. Okay, that's your site.
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty familiar with that. And again, look at it. It looks like a Google search result. She's got her title, she's got her address, description. What are you doing? She found it.
She's finding
Oh my gosh.
You told me to find it.
That's right, and that's an alternate way. I didn't even think about search. So let's go to the file cabinet. It's live, it's right there.
Let's go see a comment.
Yeah.
Comment.
All right. Okay, there it is.
No, she could remove it, but you couldn't.
I think you can. Yeah.
Could you, if you're the site owner, you could.
Yeah, yeah. Jennifer, I don't like your comment.
Well, I'm just thinking, you never know.
She said, oh, you're so awesome.
Oh.
I don't even see it.
I removed it.
Oh.
Look at her. She said, "What?"
Yeah.
That's right. My eyes were-
Okay. Who wants to show us how to upload file, or more specifically, who has something that they can upload that I can look at?
Did I just, okay, I did, how did I do it wrong?
Sure, questions
At the
first.
left, I chose, file cabinet.
Oh, okay, let me put you on, What number are you over there?
10. Instead
Okay.
of, I added a file, but now at the left it says data file over there instead of, is that because of the comment? I mean, why doesn't it say file cabinet? I chose file cabinet.
You may not have named it, Possibly. Go back, click on the top where it says data file.
Here,
You might have to go to edit on it. No, next one down under this little side.
this one? This one?
Right.
Doesn't let me.
Can I move this?
Can you what?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You can, take over.
Do you have a pointer?
Sorry.
That's all right. Right here. Can I click? Go up here to edit.
Sorry for taking up time, I just.
No, that's great. This is what I want to do. I want to see where people get stuck.
So what,
because-
right here is where I messed up,
Yep,
so I need to name a file cabinet,
whatever.
is that what?
File cabinet is kind of like what this is, but yeah, resources of some type. Maybe you're going to make two separate file cabinets. Maybe you're going to have one for Class A and another for Class B,
So
or,
I could put,
File cabinet, class A.
vocabulary,
there you go, perfect. Yeah, make it more relevant. That would make more sense.
okay, so then, I'm sorry if I'm really taking up time here, but I just didn't know what I did wrong.
That's what
Now
we're
I
doing.
click
We're learning.
Save, or do I have to do anything down here? Do I have to put just, I mean, I'm just.
Oh, you
It
can.
looked like
I
it.
kind of breezed over that, but if you want, it would
No.
make it a little more
So it's like,
specific.
so I can just click save and then,
There you go. And there it is.
so I just name, okay, you, it's whatever you named it, okay, okay.
And you've already got a file there. Go ahead and click on that file so people kind of get the idea of, and view,
Sorry about a second.
just hit view.
You,
This is what we're talking about. People, when they click on it, I don't know why that has another page there, but go ahead and click on the second one. Is it, I mean, I don't even know what
yeah,
that
that
is.
looks like, it's just an Excel
There you go.
file.
So that could be useful in the classroom, could be useful for distributing files you've already created to parents or other staff members. It's kind of like Google Docs, but something probably you'd want to have a little more permanent location for, possibly people not at this school.
I just use that because I need to go some data files on the computers.
If students, I have a question, if students get into this, can they change it?
That's
Do
They
have
they
the
can
ability
add a
to change
comment if they're logged in.
But is it
it?
real?
I mean, can they change the
No.
information?
So it's real.
It's your site.
Okay.
But this document, they can't change.
No, they're just viewing it.
Okay, but
If they were to download it,
then-
right,
okay.
then they'll open it in Excel, but it won't change the file that you have.
Okay.
Yeah, that, you build templates in here for something that you're starting. You know, like we talked about with Deb, she has a lot of material that's kind of blank, but it's got a header on it, or it's a format for a letter.
Well, it's actually videos
Oh,
that I
okay.
have, the lesson is on video.
I'm thinking back to when I was in school
Yes.
there.
Changed, yeah.
So, say you have a class that is a typing class, and the subject or idea for the day is paragraph structure, but you don't care about all the other stuff. It already has the salutation and the other things you have also taught me. All the other parts, the date, all that stuff's auto-filled, you know. But you want them to focus on this particular section, so you create a file minus that. And then when they go to download it, it's going to download on their computers. You have Excel on all of them. They'll open it up, make their file, and you've only created one once. Put it up there. It's under your course material. You have them click on it. Now they have 25, 30 copies of that same file in front of them, ready to put what you want.
If you decided to put up your whole semester's vocabulary list, chapter 1, chapter 2, can you control the time release of it? I don't want them to jump ahead of me, I'm only in chapter 2 right now.
I don't know, to be quite honest. I think you could change, what I would do was change the visibility on it, make it private.
Yeah, okay, and then not.
I don't know that you would be able to time that to any frequency of, at this date, show this file.
But just, you could just
We,
modify the
yeah, we'll look into that. I mean, the calendar thing is really cool for bringing in that dynamic content. Once you, say you made your whole calendar for the year, and you want the next 2 weeks to show on your website, that can be done. But when it comes to stuff like the actual files, I would just, at least right now, make them private for the ones you don't want up. And then you can even get rid of vocab 1, 2, and then only show 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5 at the end, when you get to the end. But if it's gonna be something that's up, think about making this easy on yourself too. I mean, if you don't want the material out there yet, maybe that's not something you wanna be doing, but if it's something that can be there all the time and it's not gonna hurt anybody, until they click on it, you more or less control that. They don't know how to really get to this site anyway. So if you tell them and you're right there, click here, click here, click here, they're not gonna remember how to get to it really. So, that's just for those people that might wanna jump ahead, and I don't know how big of a problem that would be, quite honestly.
Well, probably not, but I just thought,
It could be, it could be a big problem, but
Yeah,
it's actually, that's kind of an interesting theory. So they're cheating to get ahead by seeing what the information is ahead of time, and they feel like they're cheating, but they're actually learning, right? Do we use this concept a lot or what?
Does, is there a way, if you put a calendar up and you put like, she was saying like on this day she wants chapter 1 book out, this day in chapter 2. Is there a way that you can go in and link, put up your link from that to another and then
Good idea.
move it later?
I think that would probably work. It would just depend on how much material is allowed in the event description. You could say, click on this link, make a link to it, and that URL can be this long to that file, That's a little beyond what, like I said, what we're talking about here.
That's another.
Can we download something from Word or something?
Yes,
I have something to download from
absolutely.
Word.
That's the goal.
Okay.
So have you got something on your computer?
I have something, yeah, but I need to know how to get to Word.
You
do I
have
get
it on your
the
laptop,
documents?
yeah?
Huh?
You will email it to yourself and
Wait,
then download it.
well, I have it on my, what's this thing called in the front where when I come in
Your
the morning,
desktop.
I have it on my desktop.
Okay.
And I also have it obviously in my Word doc.
Give me a minute here. Are you online with this one, right?
Yeah, this one's on.
Okay, go to your email. I think you're right here in this tab. Do you have anything in Google Docs at all? Probably not.
No.
Just make a compose new message. Send it to yourself. There you go. And what are these files going to be?
It's my Word.
Perfect. Okay, just call it that.
How's it gonna,
You're going to send it to yourself in this box here. Then we're going to turn around, go over here, and bring it onto this computer. Attach a file. If you were on this
would it be
computer,
easier to just desktop?
no, this is perfect. And then when we do this, we're going to show everybody else how you're doing it. Where's it located at? There's Paul's. Okay. Open there. Go ahead and click send on there, and then we'll move over to the other computer.
Okay.
Is it, okay, go to your other computer there and go to your email.
Go to my email.
Yep. Typically, you would have to do something like this because you're working off the same computer that you're
How do I get to my email?
Up on the top left, just click on mail.
Up to the top. Oh, okay. Okay.
There's your grading policy, click on that.
Click on this?
Yep.
No, that's to delete it, isn't it?
No, just click on
Oh,
subject.
okay.
click download there. Your hair is cold.
Okay, don't laugh.
Hit save there.
Save.
Yes, save. Now let's just put it on the desktop of this computer. Can we do that, Ruth?
Sure. As long as I go, I need to get rid
Click desktop.
my desktop's a mess somewhere.
Oh, just, yeah. maybe
It's
not.
disorganized like I am.
No, it's not bad. Click save there. Okay, close that out.
Just, oh,
Yeah, just close this one. Go up to sites.
how am I gonna remember all this order?
I got this printout right here.
Does it tell us?
That's your call.
That's the problem with being.
Well, it's,
My-
no,
my-
you just gotta get in the habit of doing this and seeing it a lot of times it's gonna download.
It's not on your
Okay.
desktop either, Regina. It's on your own desktop. It's free.
What's that?
Well, it's not on her desktop.
Yeah, it is on
right
my
now.
desktop, but he had me.
Yeah, I mean, the information.
Get there, yeah, okay. Okay, so now what do I do?
Yep, click on your site. We're gonna,
Click on the word site? No, wait. My site's right here?
where it says Mrs. Darling's course
Oh,
class.
okay.
Now, if you go up to, new, it's at the top with the little page with the plus sign on it, on the right-hand side.
All right, thank you.
What we're doing is we're creating a file cabinet, or what did you want to call it? I think you have a better name than that. Creating policies? Yeah.
Whoops. Whoa. Boy, this. Should I put 6 through, or I'll just put 4?
You want to keep it kind of short there.
Isn't your grading policy the same for all grade levels?
Yeah. So if I just, should I,
Just put
should I
grading policy.
qualify that or just put grading
I
policy?
would just call it creating policy.
Okay,
Because in the next step, they'll be able to see what it is
Okay.
detailed.
okay.
And then go, instead of the template web page,
Oh, then I go down, then I go to file cabinet.
right?
Uh-huh.
And that's all fine, just hit create at the top. All right, do you see where it says add file right there in the center?
Uh-huh.
Click that. And you should have a copy of your grading policy. I think it's right there at the top right, in that little box.
This
Pittsburg
one,
Community Middle
I think
School.
this one, yeah.
Yep,
That's it.
on that.
I click
And it-
this,
Yeah, and it's just gonna go,
and
yeah,
then
open
do I
there.
click open or
Yep.
just?
And it's there.
Huh.
It is. You can click view to take a look at it. There it is. Anybody else want to try that?
Okay. Good, thank you.
Yep. We'll go ahead and, everybody do that if you want. Take just the hands-on time for that. Have that already.
Okay, I'm gonna get out of the.
I know you guys are not keeping your eyes open.
Try. Me and computers, I have to touch. I'm sorry.
Should I open up my own computer and bring it out?
Yeah, I would, if you want, just do it. Yeah, let's just, if you want, just continue doing it on your own computer. That way you've got some stuff on it. We're gonna get more into this section of putting stuff on there. There's nothing on these computers.
Now, if I want
Can I ask you
to,
this, that is, you can call it whatever.
Sure.
But, is that the biggest, that will be the biggest category, you
Mhm.
call it, whatever you're calling it.
Right,
It's
right,
resources, whatever,
right.
okay. So then, Dallas, if I just come over and find something, I don't know yet what I wanna put on it,
Sure.
that's the add file, I just have to find something. I have to think about that, because no, this is
Now, if I wanna edit this,
I'll be right back.
is this really is just my chapter one, my 6 vocabulary, because I believe this is just vocabulary.
Do you want to just add it as another file? Just
I
hit-
think you leave it as
yep, just
vocabulary,
add
that's
file.
gonna be like your place for all the vocab.
Now, you don't have it on this
this.
computer. If you want, you're more welcome to just go ahead and move over to your laptop here. And then you've got the same thing you're seeing here.
So this one, we don't really fill anything in.
I don't think so, unless you want some kind of explanation, these are due at the end of every,
Oh, you
or at the
stay-
beginning.
yeah.
To the
beginning
other
of
page,
time.
I added one.
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You didn't have anything?
Well,
You
I
got
just,
stuff
I
on
just
here.
made up a blank one.
Gotcha. Won't be relevant.
So, yeah, I added.
If you wanna edit, like I had on this particular document, the date is what I'd like to change it to.
You'll have to remove it and re-add
That's
it.
what-
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so that's kind of how we create a file cabinet. I think a lot of you guys are ready to go to the next step of creating your own pages. So I want to make one up here. You're getting familiar with these tools, the edit, new, and some of you have looked at more, like if you want to delete or do some other functions beyond those two. So I'm sitting here at my website, and I've got a file cabinet, and I've got a home. I don't worry too much about the home. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You can certainly put pictures on home, text, anything like that. You don't want to go too elaborate on the home page, though. It's just a landing page. The main thing is beyond that. So let's make a new page. Eyes up front. New page. What do we want to call this page? I want to call this, so we already put our syllabus up. Let's call this my interests. And it's a web page. It's going to show up on the sidebar. I'll go ahead and create it. So I've got home now, file cabinet, my interests, and it's so smart, it knows that you're going to want to put something in this page that you've just created, of course. So, outside of work, I also have several hobbies. I like to do woodworking and build things. Okay? Yeah. So that's enough text for now. I want a picture. Insert menu, kind of here. So you got a couple, you got this section here, and you got to kind of figure out how to navigate through. But you got insert, there's a lot of stuff here, but right now we're just going to look at image. So I'm going to upload a picture. Browse. I do have some pictures on here. There it is. So wow, that's huge. And most of it shows my wife. So
That's okay.
That's a lot better.
Did that's automatically showing up on
Small,
the screen,
medium,
that
large.
little.
do you see that?
See the small, medium, large, and original?
Yeah. So there is a small picture of my wife getting me some tools for Christmas or something. Okay, so that's there. I want to put some more pictures in so you guys get kind of used to that. I'm going to return down. These are a couple of projects I've done lately for my niece and nephew. And I want to go to insert, image, not that one. We want to upload another one, so we're gonna have to browse for it. I know I went pretty quick on that last one, I'm sorry. Let's do, this is a train set. We want to make that small again. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I like to do that routinely. It usually saves automatically, but just like Word, you know, something could happen. So there's me with what I do, my hobby, and there's a project, and then I think I want to, yeah, there you go.
Show off.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, believe me. So I'm going to go to another insert, image, browse. This one's actually a lot better. This is a barn set I made for my niece.
See, it's large, before you make it small, it looks like.
We'll click on it. Oh wait, where we go? See, how crazy is that? Maybe. I think I might have clicked cancel here. I bet I did. Yeah, because I couldn't see it once it came up. So, okay.
Oh, where'd it go?
Yeah, I'm sure it's
Down
there.
below that box.
Click by your second.
I'll tell you what, I think I'm going to change the layout a little bit so that you can see it all on one page. We're going to do 2 columns. For whatever reason that helps. So. It could have been a refresh issue. You will notice that when you work with this save. But then if something doesn't show up the way you want to do or see it, be sure and refresh because it may just not show up yet. So that's a good deal there. So that's my interests. Now we're gonna make another page, and I'm doing this a little bit so that you get an idea of some other pages you can create beyond the, you know, beyond the classroom. So we will make a new page. We want this to be about my accomplishments. Really gonna talk about them. I don't know if this is conceited or not, but I mean, a lot of times that's what a web page ends up being, is kind of this vanity thing. But my accomplishments, create. So now you can see my interest comes up, my accomplishments. I have developed a new polymer in my biology class, and it's really neat. So I'm going to put an image in there, browse for it. Here's me in the laboratory working with the student. Wait, no, I don't know. Cancel that. I want to insert image, browse. You see it's still there if I want to use it. I want another one. I want this one. Because that's not actually me. That is. So there's me in the classroom working with the student.
Hey, Dennis. Why don't insert format, go to the show up on my screen?
Eyes to the front.
Okay, let's.
So I'm going to make this one a medium one. So there's my accomplishments, my biology class. I want to save that. There it is. And we'll go back to my interests, my accomplishments. Okay?
Did you put that together just for this, that picture?
Let's see, what else do I have in here? That's probably it, actually. That was my humor, I guess, sorry. That's the extent of it. Oh, no, actually, I do. I have some stuff that I actually do, okay? Okay, I didn't know which way this would go, if we were gonna be all serious and stuff, but I do have some things here. This is, no, I tell you what, I'm gonna wait till we get to a different section on this. It's probably time for you guys to try a couple pages or so, and I'll stick to my format here.
Okay, so there's my question.
Or I'm gonna put you on the screen about that.
Ah.
Yeah? No.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, whatever, okay.
Let me help you first.
If somebody has a question, we need to know.
That's fine. But then-
Okay, all
But
right.
then just understand, I'm not doing it, you're telling me what to do, so please don't judge me, that's what I'm saying, so.
Because that may happen.
Which number again?
10.
Go ahead.
So why don't I see insert, upload, those things? Add page, do I have to add page?
Yep, because there's no page there, it's just the home page, so.
Okay. I don't really have any, okay, yeah, we'll do this. So like images, that's something I want.
Let's not do images right away. I want this to be more of a different section of your site. I got a whole series of pictures I wanna show you guys,
So what we.
and how to put that in as a photo album.
I don't have it saved on here, a little bit like a syllabus, we were talking about something else.
Did you already do something for your class content?
Yeah, I did.
Let's do something for more of your personal interests. And this can be just something, do you have a picture in here or something on your computer that you've done? We don't have to put-
Somebody else on screen, they've got stuff on their flash drives.
Okay, so you've got to this point.
Yes, I just
Okay.
go on a new page, well, I'm gonna be
We
off.
can be thinking about what to
I don't
do.
know, eyes to the front.
Eyes to the front, and we're gonna watch somebody
Is
else.
there a
Thank
scanner
you.
in this room?
Yeah,
We can-
there is.
There is,
Because I have a picture of students that.
right, we were gonna do that,
Okay,
probably,
that's
we'll do
later.
that in the afternoon class. We might get to it
Okay.
here pretty quick, actually,
Okay.
though. Who wants to go next? Or who wants to show them? Somebody's got some material. Oh, well, I've got a flash drive. Yeah, that's it.
How do we
Just-
put a calendar in here?
Oh, calendars?
Yeah, how do I?
Coming up.
Is there next?
There's a next section, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Or it may be the next thing. It just depends on what you guys want to really focus on. Because I want this to be something you actually have in there that is
Okay,
useful.
so what I want to know is how, where do those come from? How do you insert format?
Okay, those two buttons at the top, there's the new and edit. Yeah, so when you click on a page, you have the ability to then edit it.
Yeah, I've got some of my Canadian trip here.
Cool.
That I'm fishing.
Email it to yourself. Email it to yourself, Jeff, and put it, sign it on this. That way we can show an example of it.
I'm gonna
And
have
what-
some next year for my Canadian trip. I'm ready to go back so bad.
What this might help with too is giving some people some ideas of what to put on the site, and that's another goal I want you guys to look at or focus on.
Sorry, I've been in your video many times.
Okay,
now, so sorry for moving so much.
Canadian trip, maybe. Okay. It's gonna be that page. And should I put it in a column? No.
Yeah, you want it to show up on the sidebar just as its own page.
That's where you write your, this is what I would say.
Now, if somebody's writing something like this and then they want to go back and add something later, can you just add it without having?
Yeah, just go to that page again
And then
and
just
click
add
edit.
Okay.
Insert image. And browse. Nice legs.
Scroll down.
Don't you love that site? I want to get the picture of the fish. I'm trying.
And if there is something that you want to change about this picture, you probably want to do that beforehand. Click on it once.
There we go.
I swear, like if I chose my page, I wanted it at the bottom, I accidentally chose on the default top of the list or whatever. Is there a way to change that?
Can I bring you on camera?
Sure.
Up here?
Sure. I don't have one, I'm gonna have to scan. it.
Scan?
Yeah.
So what is it?
Well, I had a question about where to place it, and I think I get top of list or under home, or what if I wanted it farther down? Do I
Yeah, okay, this is a good tool here. Go to edit sidebar, right below all that.
Oh, I see it, okay. I'll
You did
just-
save that page, right? It's
yes.
not critical.
I think so,
Okay.
yes. I can go back and make sure.
That's okay. Under pages there,
That's what she was doing, okay.
and then what did you want to do again?
Well, I wasn't sure if I wanted it at the top, what if I wanted it below or something?
Below vocabulary, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Just pick it
Just
up.
delete it and then put it back.
Well, pick it up
in.
and drag it. Will actually, I think. Yeah. You go below vocabulary, yeah, then it's like a, you don't want to go on top. Actually, take vocabulary and put it above it. That would probably be the most.
Click for years and money.
Yeah, just like go on there. There you go. Now it's under home. Actually, grab onto it again and just drop it under Miss Wood's site.
Here?
Yeah, try that.
Step back to
You know what? It's doing it alphabetically.
Okay, so just tell me, how can I, okay, well, so how can I delete my page that I put on there? That's what you have to do, right? Is that more?
Yeah, just click there.
So there's no edit button.
Go back to your site at the top left.
Here, so this one, so
Yeah.
edit. Yeah.
You're starting to see the need for more of a structure, you know, like
Right,
professional pages,
right.
called personal pages.
Okay.
If you were talking about a very simple site, a couple links on the site would suffice, but we're starting to get into the file section, you know, the files cabinet section, which is kind of a work thing. And it's really going to depend on how deep you want to go into it, because that structure is going to be reflected in how you lay out your structure.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, you take me on screen.
Anybody else want to show us what they've done? Do you want some time to create some more pages on your own? Sure. Let me turn this.
English experience.
What was your number again? On your computer? Does it say? Doesn't, huh?
Yeah, here it is. Under number,
Yours doesn't have one. There's usually a.
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's
yeah.
all right. That's still
okay, well, see, I kind of did my, I thought I was gonna have to type this in because it's, I think you could just go on your Amazon's and
Mhm.
Google and get it, but I really could transfer it over there.
Yeah, yeah, it's fine. It's all there.
It's all on.
Ruth, you know offhand which computer this is?
I'm guessing, is that one? Deb is one. This is three.
No. Bring this back up for you, and then I'm gonna put you on the screen here.
Yes.
I think she's.
So that's 3? Okay, Linda had a good point here. How do I create a link to another site? We talked about it, but we didn't actually do it. So what's the site that you want to go to, Linda?
Okay, I believe we can get there, www.amazonarmy.com/possibly, it's Franklin.
Okay, and you typed it in the top there, I see.
I did.
I see what's going on here. There's a HTTPS after it, and it's probably not a secure site. Delete that S after
Okay,
HTTP. That's probably why it wasn't coming up.
Okay,
So that, again, that address has to be completely exact.
exactly, okay.
So don't actually go, just copy it.
Sorry, so do you want me to go back?
No, you're fine. Just, we just need to go forward and then go up to the address bar and highlight all that. There you go, and just copy it.
Okay.
You can right click.
Right, but see, I don't know anything about PCs, so I'm sorry to tell you.
Oh, that's no problem. That's just on the right hand side of the mouse while you're over top of the blue highlighted section.
Highlighted, yeah, I got you. Now what do I do?
Doesn't seem like it's going that long.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all right.
I really, oh, there.
The copy, yeah. Because you can't do it, I was thinking you edit any of it. So we're gonna go back, it's on your clipboard. Now, Linda has a section about the history of coal mining, because you have a side interest in this particular topic. So you have that on your clipboard, but you can see you can't change anything right now, so you're gonna have to go up to edit, where the little pencil is. And now you wanna create a link. Do you wanna do just a real quick explanation of what this is?
Yes.
Go ahead and type a little bit right in there, and then we'll put the link after it. Sorry. All right.
Wait, I'm not done.
You need a space between coal mining.
Yes, I should have.
Now, let's go after that sentence there, after the period, and let's make a new sentence to find out more. You know, you'll see this on the web all the time. Click here, you know, that kind of deal. We want to kind of set this up for,
Click here, you said?
is it an event or is it history?
Well, the Women's March, but I was.
Okay, yeah, that event, I got you, yeah. Go ahead and just delete that semicolon. Take another space. Click here, okay?
Click,
Excellent.
just a small click, or a
Yeah,
small C.
little C is fine. Now, what you've done is you just typed some material. Now, remember we talked about URLs, and what we're gonna do now is create a link inside what you've typed to go to another site. And I don't know if many of you've done this before, so what the first thing to do is establish what you want to make clickable. What word do you want to highlight to make clickable? In this case, I think you'd want to do here. Because you want to obscure
Yeah, here.
the URL, because it could be a big old long string of text. But when I'm guiding someone through that process to go click on something, I tell them to click here. And then you establish here as, in this case, the word here highlighted. So let's do that.
Highlight it?
Yep. Now, in the very middle top, you can see along the title bar, there's a link, a chain link. You see the two little highlighted infinity symbol right after the text color? And your format options along the top, the next title bar down, I'm sorry.
Okay, oh, right here, okay, sorry.
Oh, right here.
Oh, right here, thank you. I have
So-
no,
But no one's probably seen this sort of formatting before. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This kind of formatting, it's not bold, it's not italic, it's a link. And it looks like these two chain links together. And what that's going to let you do is create a link. So go ahead and hit that. And now you can go to 3 different things there. We've got a site page, which is just one of your pages you can select. You can go to a web address. Let's select web address. On the left-hand side, there you go. Text to display. Well, we're not going to change that. We already established that. But in your link, you're going to want to do that right-click thing again.
Oh,
Click on the right side.
okay. Oh, right side.
Yeah, yeah. And then paste.
Oh,
And hit OK.
gosh. With the left side?
Yep. So you just made the first link. All right. Go to save up here. Now, to find out more about this event, click here. You go ahead and click there. There you go.
Cool. Wow.
So people can go to the internet, go to our webpage, go to your teaching site, and go to the Amazon Army website.
That's, you know, I'm going to England this summer.
Uh-huh.
So I've been like looking up, you know, weather and things and, you know, all different things. And seeing this right here showed me, there's a middle school somewhere in England that they've taught their kids to do this kind of, and there's some child that has I mean, they've given all the weather, what to expect in June and
Uh-huh.
July and the average and what to wear and what to do all, you know, and I'm going like, yay, you know, this is the information.
And the linking part of it is
And
what
it was
keeps
like-
people interested
and I
and keeps
just-
going in your site.
It was that thing that just kept me going onto that, and then
Mhm.
I got all this information I needed to
Right.
know what to do, you know. So that's interesting.
So you're changing your mindset from that of a consumer and clicking through this, and that of a producer, and actually making these paths people can go through to get to this content. Does that make sense? You gotta think of it as if you were guiding someone else through this site.
See, I-
Okay,
No, it's-
Linda wants to put a picture in here below what she's typed, but maybe she doesn't have anything on this computer. Surprise, she doesn't. So go to insert again.
Insert.
Uh-huh. And instead, an image. And this is a really neat feature. Instead of picking a picture off your own computer, you can rip it off the web. Go to web address. In this case, it's fine because this is information that you actually were involved in the creation of this website, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Charlie's
my website. But.
Well, it's not as cool as I thought it was. Sorry, guys. I really thought you could search from there. And at one time, I thought you could, didn't you? You never knew to do
So I
that?
thought you always had to have a URL of the image.
Okay, so it's not as cool. Because I was going to just go in there and type something and search for it within the same page, bring up that picture, and pop it in. But we're going to have to go to another tab. Just leave this open. Go up, yeah, go up here. Just right there. And then type in Amazon Army. And just do a Google search. Or Bing's fine. So she's going to search for an image. Maybe it's a picture of you or whatever. Maybe go up here to images. Now, what would be a picture that you would like?
These are both my images.
Yeah, so because they're already on the web.
They're already up, they've been on the.
Yep, so let's go to one of them,
Okay.
whatever one you'd like to see first. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, let's go to see the full-size image. Now, if you'll notice up there at the top in the title bar, it has the URL, and we've learned what a URL is, Universal Resource Locator. So as long as we have that URL, we can copy it. Yep, that whole thing. Right-click on it. And then close out of this guy, this whole window right here. And close that one. Oh, not that one. Close the current tab. Okay, now the URL, let's paste it in
Is
there.
it in settings maybe?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay. Oh, here we go.
And just do either.
What's allow
nice,
attachments?
there we go.
Someone can upload attachment or I
That's fine, I
can?
got it. Just yes.
I don't want someone else to.
To put other things on your website.
Yeah.
And then it says that's
Oh,
optional.
that's
Yeah,
it.
right,
Okay.
if you don't let them log into your Gmail,
Click
they
that
can't do
here.
anything to it.
Well, like where it says, you could take off where it's like get rid of the comment box. I don't want that on there. You know, on every single page.
Right.
Well, it also says allow attachments. What does that mean?
Please do.
Can someone else upload an attachment?
The only
They can't,
person that can change your site is you.
but people can comment.
Yeah,
But
Okay,
they can't.
but they can't do any other. And they shouldn't be able to.
That way.
That doesn't mean, okay.
typically, it says if your URL is correct, it is, well, it is.
You just need to ask them.
There may be some sort of blocking being done on that website to prevent people from doing exactly what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
some of my photographs are because they're protected.
Yep.
Because they've been, and so they are.
I bet
And
that's-
so, see, those are probably.
that would
I don't
prevent
think Mary, that one probably is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
She was, yeah, she could go back there. I mean, and she was.
Let's try that. and it's really big too.
I like it.
It did say it might
Right.
take a while.
Yeah, that is good.
Okay, make sure I'm in edit, right?
I think so, and then you highlight that
Highlight
word,
it.
and then you click on the link button, it looks like two chain links together over the top of the page.
Okay,
Like
up
that.
here, up here, up here. Oh, thank you, okay. Finding that button. I know, I'm like, okay.
Well, typically this works, but you know, it says, if it's copyrighted image, it will block it, so,
Well, that's
yeah.
because I have to go, once in a while, and take off the text or things.
Mhm.
But I thought that,
It's anything relevant here.
I had this, I had no idea. Because those, they've got it, so I go up.
You can bring it up through the website, yeah, but if it's brought through another
Any one of
way.
these slots here?
So that used to work a lot better, and I apologize that that didn't work for our example, but generally, if you find something, what that's telling us though is it's not good to rip those images off from other sites. It is best if you're creating this to go ahead and use your own pictures. There may be something else going on here, but you guys kind of get the idea there.
Yeah.
When you make a page, do you, like, do I have to add it to my sidebar? What if I just want to link it in a different page? Or do I have to do both?
Good thing, can I bring you up? on
Yeah.
here? Okay, good
Like, I'm
idea.
looking, like, it says select a location, but I don't want it to be located anywhere. I mean, that sounds silly.
No,
but-
I know exactly what you mean,
Okay.
because you've got one main subject
Yes.
item, and then you've got
And
other
then
pages.
I'm number 6.
Can't see anything over here. Yes, it is.
Oh, right, the white one, it's really, see right there.
All right, so put page under course 1. Or is that what it's going to be here?
Well, but
What
I
is
don't
it?
want it to be on the side. Yeah, it's gonna be under course 1, but I want to link it. I didn't want to add it to my sidebar.
Okay.
I didn't
I
have to.
think by default, when you create it, it's going to be there.
Okay.
Then you'll have to go into edit sidebar and remove it from
Oh,
each
and I
other.
can remove it from there.
Let's see if that works.
Okay, so I'm gonna say under course 1, create.
So there it is,
So
chapter.
there it is. I'm just gonna save it. We'll just act like it's what I would.
Mhm. And then go to edit sidebar.
Okay. Then should I link? I guess I don't have to link it first. Doesn't matter.
No, it has to exist before you can link it.
Okay.
So that's kind of the thing. It seems counterproductive sometimes, but it's just a, logic process.
Yeah. Okay. So I go to which one do I go to?
Try general. Wait, no, navigation, edit. I can't see it very clearly. Go to the, where it says navigation.
Oh, edit right here. Navigation,
Possibly.
edit.
I'm not 100% sure yet.
Navigation, no, sitemap.
We're gonna leave sitemap. Is that okay with you?
Yeah,
Because
that's fine.
that gives you the ability to.
Yeah, I want that.
Okay,
Okay.
cancel that.
Is it
Looks
change
like you
site
already got-
layout?
Yeah, probably. It looks like you already got rid of revision history too.
Okay,
I
so
don't
let
know.
me take this out then.
Okay, cancel that.
Okay, general.
What else did we have?
What did we do before? Someone went to before, I thought. Can you?
Pages, yeah.
Pages, there we go, okay. Okay, so course 1, there it is.
Okay. Click on it.
Click on it.
She gave you right there.
Takes you to the page. Let's go up to more.
So,
So then we can just transfer those.
Let's try that manage site.
manage site, okay.
We just need to know that they're on page.
Yeah.
Pages,
Show you how.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll,
Dan,
darn.
maybe ask you something.
Sharing, site layout, that's not it though. Layout, did I already go to that? Oh, that just looks like that. What's it called, sidebars, I'm confusing? I don't know.
Let me come over there.
Okay. I just don't want to have every page on my sidebar.
Oh, no, I completely agree.
Even if I don't have to, so that takes a while.
sites, remove sidebar item.
Just
No, no, no,
what
you're
you're
good.
doing.
It'll
This is
be-
what I'm listing there.
Right.
So, here are the pictures that are automatically there.
Do you need my pictures?
No, 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 you can click on it.
They'll have to
I was wanting to do
Video.
I was wanting to do something.
Okay,
But like even.
Oh my gosh. My Google site, and I realized, looking around, that I do not want this box here. That means that I need to delete it from my sidebar. Sidebar being all these things on the side of my page. So what do I need to do? First, I need to make sure that I am signed in to my Google site, and I can tell that I am by seeing the create page, edit page, and more actions options up the top. Then, scroll down to the bottom of your page, and underneath of the sidebar area, there's a little designated link that says sidebar. You're gonna wanna click on that,
Well, we can always delete it.
and it will take you to this page. This page shows you your site layout. Now, in order to give you a more concrete view, I'm going to open this in two windows. Here I have opened up two windows and set them side by side for comparison's sake. Okay, let's see. I guess, maybe I did click that, I did say.
Oh.
I did, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know, and I don't know why it's doing this.
Yeah.
Because I would go through. Yeah, then let's just find out. Okay.
It should be up here. How come it's not up here? This is a new, this is a new page.
Whenever you get ready.
That's what makes the most sense, but of course.
Then your image.
There we go.
It's trying to make it way too easy for you.
Okay. Okay, alright, so I can just remove it,
Maybe.
Is that what's gonna come off?
but the page still exists,
Yes.
but it's just not
Right,
like.
and the way you link to that should be perfect. You can use the URL directly, but
I'd rather,
But I can't. It's not a PDF, it's a PDF.
you know.
Okay, cool. Let's see if it is.
So it's
Cool.
gone. But then
Okay.
you go to course two.
No, of course, sorry. Because that's the one I started, okay.
So actually.
Chapter one is
Chapter,
what?
so you don't, you didn't.
So I'd have to add, no, I haven't yet.
So we're gonna first edit it, yeah.
And link that, because I want to be able to click on
It
that.
has to exist,
Okay.
then you can link, and then here it is.
No, I'm still-
Yeah, course one, yeah. See the little plus
Okay,
sign?
yes, okay.
No.
That's what I want.
And, you don't wanna open a new window.
No, I
Delete all.
just saved it.
Karen's okay right
Just trying to take it away from me.
there.
It's like I clicked on it.
Yes.
Look, see, I think I hit the side of it.
Yeah, it's, I think it took it out of that, yeah, so go to, course, the course my page.
Try it now, try it.
You know,
After you scan it, scan it again. Well, okay, where's it, is it on your desktop? Let's try this. Hang on.
I think what I did is I hit back
okay.
on the side, I have that
Okay,
added.
yay.
So you can see. And then the only way to then get to it is go, let's see, choose course two.
Oh, well, I'll show
Choose
you.
one.
Yeah.
It goes up to there.
There you go.
Yay.
See how that works. Even Google is not complete, they change it all the time.
That's a good
And the
point.
kids have to know that, the kids have to understand, I add to this every day, I change it every day, or once a week.
Eyes up front.
So,
Hey, Autumn brings up a good point, everybody. You know, I'm not done with my website. I don't want anybody to go to it yet. Well, you're never really done. That's the whole thing. It's continually updated, and, I mean, should be at least. And you continually change it, and that's kind of just the very nature of a site.
Websites. Yeah.
Websites in general, yeah. So, now that I got your attention again, great. What we want to do before you guys start bugging out on me is go to your, go ahead and save your site. Get back to your main site page. Go to home. Is everybody on that page?
Yeah, but it doesn't save there, it only saves something.
It just says share.
Hey, Brad?
But it'll say, no, it doesn't share.
What makes it?
That must be.
We want to copy that link.
I've never actually seen